shadow people dance and trade their glance and walk home alone.
All right, mics are on.
We got hot mics.
How hot are they?
Not too hot. They were the other day when it was nice outside.
Imagine getting an ad on Facebook. Hot mics in your area.
Hot mics.
Plentyoffish.com.
Plenty of
Plenty of mics.com.
Oh man. All right, let's see. Boom. Nope, not that. Well, there goes. Well, I guess it's in the title.
Oh, there it is.
About. Not that.
Oh,
Oh no,
man.
not the display.
Oh, you see.
There we go.
The 3 people I follow on Spotify. One of which is Payton.
Yes.
Do you guys use the friends activity, the follow function on Spotify, or is that just me?
I think that's just you.
I'm pretty sure I'm the only
I think it's
person that
just
does
you.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just you.
I follow like 5 people on Spotify, 5 of my Facebook friends, and it doesn't really generate me any. The only person that I ever listen to like what they're listening to is Thomas, because Thomas listens to a lot of cool, like a lot of good music.
I'll look at what Corbin's on my thing. Sometimes
Corbin's also on mine, yeah.
Yeah. I'm assuming through like Facebook or something.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the function allows you to follow your Facebook friends.
Okay.
Through Spotify, yeah. My uncle Chris, like sometimes listens to some cool shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think anyone? How many people do you think actually use that feature?
10. It's either 10 worldwide, or it's a thing where people in Europe use it and nobody in the United States uses it.
I love just the 10. That's like the like it's like the SpongeBob episode when they go through the mattress factory.
That's actually where I started saying that.
The mattress factory, and he goes, "Man, there's a lot of mattresses in here." Patrick, how many do you think are in here? 10. Oh, wow!
Anytime someone asks
SpongeBob
me
is
to
like
estimate
SpongeBob
just
is
say
genuine.
10.
Yeah, and then SpongeBob is in genuine and like, wow, like you're right. Like holy cow, like that's a lot. 10. Like when it's like clearly.
Okay, we should introduce ourselves, but I kind of want to ask you a metaphysical question real quick. Okay.
I didn't know you were that drunk.
Damn. I'm not that drunk, but I haven't eaten dinner yet, so that may be a factor. Okay,
True.
so riddle me. Think about this.
Well, introductions.
Yeah, that question doesn't really matter.
Well, yeah, I'm Payton. This is Ethan.
I'm Ethan.
We're the host.
The usual host.
No guests this week.
Yeah, this week we're doing this on a weeknight, as you can probably tell. So
yeah, we've had a busy weekend and a busier weekend.
It's going to be a busy weekend with St. Patty's Day coming up.
Yes, it is.
Do you want to talk a little bit about who you are and how you relate to filmmaking? Just like give a little bit about yourself so people get an idea of who hosts this shit.
I mean,
so I know about the host. You know, that's why I come to the podcast.
So I like to think myself as a person that has a pretty solid artistic vision, especially in terms of analyzation of products. So I've been like really into just like music, art. Art is more recently in terms of like physical art, and I've started to like look at a bit more recently than I ever have. But then movies I've been watching to death when I was in college because I didn't have anything else to do. So I just like obsessed myself with watching a fuck ton of movies, where I got most of my knowledge from. And then of course being on set, thanks to him, of short films and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I just and I have a really good taste in video games. Especially artistic viewing of video games. I like to overanalyze pretty much everything. So
Anybody who says I have a good taste in something, that's maybe where All right, man.
okay. Anyway.
I'm Ethan, as you guys already know. I'm the other host of this below average show, and I have been making films since I was 14 or whatever, and currently in the process of creating an independent film company. I've produced one feature, shot a bunch of shorts, done some work on some music videos, directed some things. In the process of making independent filmmaking stronger in Pittsburgh. How's that sound?
That sounds good. That sounds good.
I'll work on that. That's my pitch when I pitch to people that invest is a lot better. But that'll be my summary for this podcast.
Now, what was this metaphysical question you were going to ask me?
So
before we get into the actual topic
Okay.
of the night.
Okay, so we were talking about the number 10 in SpongeBob, right?
Yes.
Now, if we're humans, we're hominids, we're primates, right? We have 10 fingers and 10 toes, all right? And when you're a little kid, that's how you first learn how to count. You count 1 to 10 because you have 10 fingers.
Yes.
And then if you are working with really big numbers, you take off your shoes and socks, and then you use your toes, right? So, if you're a kid, and some adults also have to do that. So, when you think about it, we work on our number system. Have you ever considered that our number system is based on multiples of 10?
So actually, the American metric system isn't like the American one.
No, I'm not talking about measurement system.
Oh,
So the metric system is all based on multiples of 10.
that one is yes. The American one is not
the royal system. Yeah. No, I'm not talking about measurements. I mean, this would apply to measurements, but I'm talking about just numbers, just counting. So once you get to single digits, 1 through 9, and then 10 goes to double digits, 10 through 19, and then you add a 2 to the first place, right? It's based on 10. It's based on multiples of 10.
Okay.
Everything is based on multiples of 10.
Yeah.
Because why is that?
I don't know.
Well, is it some metaphysical truth about the nature of the universe that just the properties of physics all operate on multiples of 10? Because physics is measurements of the real world integrated with math. And it all operates on the system of math that humans have created, which is based on multiples of 10. Why is that? Is it some truth that the universe just operates on multiples of 10? Or is it because humans have 10 fingers and 10 toes? So we count to 10, and then you whip out one of your toes. That's 11. That's 10. Then you start counting 11, 12, What if some of the scientific secrets that we have not unlocked yet cannot be unlocked because we are operating on a system based on multiples of 10?
I don't think that's right at all. I don't think the universe is based on multiples of 10. Actually,
No, I don't think it is either. That
No.
was a rhetorical question.
Well, no, I understand okay, wait, it's a rhetorical question, so now I'm lost. I don't know what the fuck you're going on about, to be completely honest with you.
That's okay. I'm not sure if I know either. It's just a question.
I like
something I think about.
I think the question that I like better is math invented or is it discovered?
It's invented based on multiples of 10. And if it hadn't been based on multiples of 10, would our mathematics system work differently? And would that allow us to answer some of the scientific questions we can't answer? Somebody smarter than me probably has already asked that question and said yes or no.
Where is this multiples of 10 coming from?
Well, because everything in our mathematical system is based on multiples of 10. The way we count things. It's all based. I mean, the mathematical principles would still work if you were working on a system based on multiples of 6, multiples of 12, or say humans had 12 fingers instead of 10, or 14 fingers instead of 10. The mathematical principles of multiplication, division, and subtraction and all that shit would still work based on a multiples of 12, but we operate off a multiples of 10 system.
I think it's because it's easier.
I mean, that is possible, but it doesn't seem likely.
I think it does. I think
what's easier about 10 than 12? 12 is divisible by 3 and 4. 10 is only divisible by 2 and 5.
It's easy.
And 1 and 10, obviously.
It's easier to count.
Why is it easier to count?
Because it just is. Like when you multiply 12 by 64.
But that's also based on a multiples of 10 system you're working in.
I really do not know what you're going on about at all. I don't know if anybody does. I'm not sure if you know what you're talking about. I think you're just going.
I'm not presenting to a hypothesis. I'm just asking, is it possible?
I don't know what you're asking.
Do you understand that our system of counting, our system of numbers, the Arabic system of numbers, and the system of counting that all humans use, no matter what language you're in, is based on multiples of 10? You count 1 to 10, and then you count... The teens are all 10 plus 1, 10 plus 5. The 20s are 2 tens, 2 groups of 10, plus 22. 2 groups of 10 plus 2. Right?
Okay, I see what you're saying. I don't think it's based on multiples of 10, though.
It is. No. If you look at the number 22, 2 in the tens place, 2 groups of 10, and 2 extraneous.
I don't get what you'd be trying to say would be the other way of doing it, though.
Well, say you had instead of
not based on 10. It's not based on 10. It's based on, okay, here's one place right here. So you have to go to the next space after you finish whatever you go by.
How do you finish it?
What do you mean?
You said you finish whatever you go by. What do you go by to finish the next place? You said you go this place, and then you go to the next one once you finish what you go by. How do you know when you finished in that place?
Okay.
When you've counted to 10.
Are you sure that's the exact way it is used in other languages?
Yeah.
Including
Then their math would be different.
Including
Mandarin?
Yeah.
I mean, I've not checked that, but their math would be different if it wasn't.
I mean,
all humans have the same amount of fingers, unless they had an injury or something.
Okay, so I think I get what you're getting at now. Kind of. I still don't know why we're talking about this.
We were talking about SpongeBob and Patrick, and saying there's 10 mattresses, and I asked you, do you want to hear some metaphysical bullshit that I think about sometimes? I don't really like metaphysics, but this is the metaphysics that this does interest me.
I
don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about this, but this does interest me.
Okay.
You asked. Ladies and gentlemen, let us know in the comments if you think multiples of something other than 10 could unlock the secrets of the universe.
If you ever think you're insane, watch the first 10 minutes of this podcast.
Don't hurt his brain so much. Ladies and gentlemen, look up theories of math. Just look up the philosophy on theories of math. There's I don't know, does math exist? Of course it exists, but it gets deeper than that. In fact, maybe I should be looking up theories of math.
Anyway,
there's definitely someone out there smarter than me who's thought more about this that I should be tuning into. And thank you for the comments. We appreciate that.
But is math invented or discovered?
It's invented.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
But but you said, like, but the rules of the universe work off of, like, it's not just random. Everything has an answer to it, which is, like, has a mathematical answer to it. So, because there's always a mathematical question to the stuff in the universe, was it just math? Like, was it just invented, or was it, if it was there the entire time, because there's an answer to everything through math, that means it was always there.
So, the way the universe behaves, the laws of physics, the principles have always been there.
Correct.
Yes, that exists that way. But the manner in which we interpret and understand it is through math, which is a symbolic system of... It's a tool, it's a symbolic system of symbols, which is based on the number 10.
Okay, I don't know why you keep on going back to this 10 thing.
Well, that's the question. That's the main question. Is like,
no, it's your question. That's
my
asking.
main question. Yeah, that's what I'm asking. That's why I keep going back to this. The juxtaposition.
And I told you I don't even know.
I'm not interested in the number 7 or anything else. I'm interested in the number 10. Or if we were to, like, pick something else instead of 10. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the principles of the universe.
Like, you're saying, like, if it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One, and then you would go to whatever the next one would be.
Yeah, the next, like, it would be like essentially 11 at that point.
Yeah,
and 11 would run 11 to the 10th place would run 11 to 17. And I wonder if doing math in that kind of system, or under 10 or over 10, could maybe lead us to something we're missing. But then again, I'm not much of a science. I mean, I understand science, but I don't spend a whole lot of time on it.
See, I think the concept of, like, was math invented or discovered is, like, a much better, like, theoretical based question. Well, that makes you think about how the universe works.
The question of whether math was invented or discovered has a very obvious answer. It's obviously invented, and my question is predicated upon that answer.
Okay, I think it was discovered.
I think the principles of the universe are discovered through math, which is a tool, like a mental tool that was invented to figure out those principles.
I think it's always. I think it was discovered personally.
So you just think math based on multiples of 10 is an intrinsic code, part of the universe. So, what if aliens had a different system of math than we did?
But they have a math. But they have a math system. Like,
that's
what you're saying.
That's what I'm
so,
saying.
like, what you're saying is, like, they have a different.
Alien has 12 fingers. And
well,
their system is based on 12.
Okay, I get that. I don't know how to answer your question. Is the thing. So, like,
I'm not
anyway,
looking for an answer. I'm just really throwing it out there to get your thoughts. You know?
I don't have any thoughts about it.
Okay.
Like
okay.
Because I'm like, you know, I'm sure people have thought about that and have tried.
They probably have.
And have tried. And,
I'm sure
you know
people much smarter than me have tried.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, whereas, like, you just said, like, the aliens would have their own math system, right?
Yeah, there's no way they would have the same, Arabic numerals and
system
as we
So
do.
then if they have been able to come up with a math system as well as us, like, is it actually invented or was it discovered? Is it just for all beings to discover
if it was
math?
If it was discovered, it would be the same system. They would have discovered the same artifact system of math that we have.
No.
They would have
because what if they discovered the missing system that you're talking about?
Well, then they would have that. I think.
Do you see what you're? Do you see?
I see what you're saying, but I don't think that works. I think that's semantic. I think they would have invented a system, a better system than we invented. Would be the correct way to phrase that.
I don't know, because I think you're trying to find the better system.
I'm saying there may be a better system out there, but if you're trying to Find it.
But that's the thing. You have to find the
Oh,
system.
okay. I kind of see what you're saying.
You have to find the system. Through trial and error, yes, but you're finding the system.
That's
Do you see? Now you're like, okay, maybe it is discovered then. Like, maybe it is discovered.
But to me, that's where I kind of tune out when it comes to metaphysics.
Yeah. that's wild. That's the... We knew this podcast was going to be shorter, so we had to find an intro topic to get the runtime longer.
Remember,
for no
ladies and
reason.
gentlemen.
We don't have any reason to have longer podcasts. Actually, we don't have a reason for it. We have no incentive to have it longer, other than like, let's just have it longer. That's
Remember, ladies and germs, metaphysics is fun. It's kind of, not really. It's really only good for impressing random people. Make them think you're smarter than you are. The real interesting philosophies in politics and ethics.
See, I don't think, based on like what you were asking, I don't think that makes you smarter. I think that means your mind just wanders in extremely weird places. I'm assuming you first. I'm assuming.
I'm not trying to impress you.
I'm assuming.
Are you a woman? I'm not trying to impress you.
I'm assuming. You first thought about this question under the influence.
No, I was at I was busting tables when I thought about this question. I've been thinking about this.
Are you sure you weren't under?
I've been thinking about this for like 2 years. I was probably hungover. I was hungover most of the time at that job. But
okay. I was probably.
It was like about Whiplash.
Let's talk about Whiplash now. Where is it? There it is. Bam. Bam. We're talking about Whiplash today. What do you want to describe the idea of the movie, the plot of the movie?
Sure. Alright, today we're talking about the 2014 smash hit Whiplash, a film about jazz, obsession, love, music, power, and success. 3 Oscars.
And revenge.
Revenge.
And revenge. Not really, but it has a revenge. It has a revenge like scene.
Masculinity and the artistic drive.
Actually, you could say revenge. Actually, because the way the main character wants to get back at like his family.
All right, it's
anyway
directed by. Written and directed by Damien Chazelle, starring Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons, and not really anybody else. Not that they didn't do. No, the other actors that we got Melissa Money and Paul Reiser, but they're this really is like a 2-character film.
It
if
is.
We're being honest.
It's fucking great.
It's
so good. It's so good. Anyway, so the idea of the movie, or the plot of the movie, is an aspiring drummer goes to school and finds a professor that he like a very high a professor that has extremely high, almost unrealistic expectations for his students.
The professor also has high accolades. He's a very noteworthy professor.
He is
He
very
produces successful people.
Yes.
In the jazz world.
Yes. And the student only wants to like basically has an ideal to impress the professor.
And it
to get acceptance
from
this professor.
If you guys haven't seen it, you're probably not going to understand what we're talking about.
Spoilers.
It's a very
obviously
deep-
spoiler
yes.
alert.
Obviously, spoilers. It's a very deep movie.
What are your you and I are both on one viewing of this film. About
I can't
4
wait
weeks
to
ago.
watch it again. I can't wait to watch it again. Honestly.
What are your give me the intro to your impressions on this film, Payton, and then I guess we can talk something deeper.
So I knew nothing about this movie other than like, oh, it looked interesting until I saw, until one of my favorite YouTubers, Video Game Donkey, had a video about it, and he talked about it a bit, and just talked about how, because he watched Whiplash and La La Land around the same time because he talks about both movies.
Well, it's also the same writer director.
Oh, okay, and
Won an Oscar for both. Both of our
Oscar-winning
I believe.
films. Yeah, they both are. And anyway, he like talked about just like the film industry as a whole, like slightly, and just talks about like the biggest difference between like most movies and like Whiplash and La La Land is that they have a reason to be told. The story has a reason to be told. It's trying to portray an idea. And that's what he ends the video with. It's just like these videos are actually trying to tell you something. Whereas like most he believes most things nowadays don't really have a story to be told or a specific like theme to be told that makes you want to like think deeper about like what's going on in life. So at least that's just what he thinks. At least that's why those movies caught his eye. Anyway, so that was like my like, oh wow, like a YouTuber that I respect had like a really like the movies. So really like the movie. So I really need to see it. And so I actually went into this movie with pretty high expectations, honestly, especially from what I've heard from like friends as well. And it met those expectations. Honestly, it kind of like went above the expectations that I thought. Like this is I don't do out of 5 personally. I do like out of 10, and I'm just gonna say it right now. Like this is like pretty close, if not a 10 out of 10 for me. It's either a 9 or a 10. I haven't fully decided yet. I would give a better rating on a second viewing, but after one viewing, it's like definitely a 9 or a 10 for me. So it was way above my expectations, honestly. So really fucking good. Go watch it. So
yeah, I've also watched Video Game Donkey's analysis video on it, or review, whatever you want to call it. I've been aware of this movie for some time. I mean, it was like it came out in 2014, so you and I were still in high school. It was a pretty big deal whenever it came out.
yes,
Amongst like the fucking film nerds that I was friends with, and I, much like today, did not have time back then to go see a lot of films when they came out. So I didn't see it until a couple weeks ago.
yes,
So like almost like 10 years.
yeah.
Anyways,
8 years.
so
You're 9.
it's a pretty big deal. A lot of people. Whiplash is one of those modern films that like the whole way through film school people are like, "Oh my god, you haven't seen Whiplash?" I'm like, "Oh my god, I have a job."
Oh my god, I have a job.
2 or 3 actually. Yeah. For you were talking about expectations, right? And for me, especially being around film nerds a whole lot in my life, and I don't mean that in an endearing way, but films that get overhyped, that people talk about a lot, like you gotta see this movie, you gotta see this movie. The expectations get set so high. I'm like, there's no way it's gonna live up to this hype. There's no way it's gonna be good, because there's a lot of films that do not live up to the hype.
Oh no, listen.
Well, most
listen.
of Tarantino's filmography. Okay, some of
You still need to
Pulp
watch
Fiction
Django.
is not good.
You still need to watch Django.
Tarantino's gonna shoot me in the face someday. Anyways, that's a joke for legal reasons. I'm kidding. Anyway, there's a lot of films that don't live up to the hype. This movie lived up to the hype. This movie lived up to the hype.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
I don't know. I haven't really thought about how I would rate it. Probably 8.5 to 9. I will say this film tells. This is kind of building off what Donkey said. One story. A lot of films try to tell like a whole bunch of different things at once.
Yeah.
They want to tell like a character story. They want to tell like a big epic story. They want to tell like a big plot story. They want to tell a little character like B story about the character development.
Have like a romantic plot.
Romance.
The romance plot.
They don't have like a problem with your dad. And some films do that really well.
This
film
movie
told one story.
Yes, and it used those like what other movies would use as like minor plots as as like, oh yeah, like he gets a girlfriend, so there is a romance. But no, there really isn't a romance. It's just used as a plot device, as a way to like further show his obsession,
Which is quite clever.
with drumming.
Would say.
Yes, and that's why it's like really good. Like but it focuses on one story and does it really well, because it can be relatable towards not, because like it's about him becoming like a big famous drummer. But, like, you can use that for, like, anything.
Let this just, like, linger, this statement linger over anything else I say. I will say this is one of the films I would say this was one of the most relatable films I've watched in a long time.
Yeah.
It's a little, not hard, but, like, maybe, I don't know, it's hard for me to think of other films in the last 5 years that I've related to more than this film. So let that just be said over my other commentary. But yeah, excellent film, excellent editing, excellent.
The editing was really good. The final scene is like so well edited.
Cinematography, I'd say, is B+. You know,
Yeah.
It kind of maybe that's why I put it at an 8.5, because I kind of, some people say like the cinematography should be like invisible art. Like no, editing. Actually, this is where like. The cinematography was more of the invisible art, and the editing was visible.
Mm-hmm.
Dope is that way too.
Yeah.
Whereas oftentimes cinematography is just like, yo, look at this motherfucking lighting. Look at this motherfucking lens I chose to make this effect.
Yeah.
You know?
Or like the editing in or like how Baby Driver.
Baby Driver, yeah.
Baby Driver.
I'm going to say it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. Baby Driver should have won the Oscar for editing instead of Dunkirk. Dunkirk was just a multi-arc story that was cut together, whereas Baby Driver, the editing is the reason that story worked.
Yeah, it's so good.
They got
because it is a
they
basic
got chipped on
tool.
that one.
It's funny that it's called Baby Driver because it's kind of a similar plot to Drive actually.
Yes and no.
A kid that's
it's
gets mixed up in the mob and like finds a girl and then wants to escape with the girl. Like
but the kid in Baby Driver is like.
I mean, they're different stories.
Yeah,
like
they are different stories.
They're different stories, but there's like you can tell they got a lot of like ideas from Drive.
Have you seen the memes where it's like the political compass, but it's Baby Driver, I know you've seen this. I sent them to you. It's Baby Driver, Taxi Driver, or Taxi Driver, Nightcrawler, and Drive.
Yes, I've seen those.
Yes. Accurate, to say the least.
Dude, seeing the Drive political compasses is like, or like the charts of like, oh, you like red flags for a male, like it's like likes Joker, likes Drive, likes Kanye, it's like that's like the you know exactly what I'm talking about, like the red flags, but like for anything with red flags for a guy
or like, babe, you're not Driver from Drive, you're not Ryan Gosling, like, like it's just like, and then it's just like the guy like with the toothpick, and it's just like, and he has like the jacket and the hammer. It's like, why is he me? Like, why is he me?
Those memes is just like looking in a mirror, dude. Oh, and then Tyler Durden's on there too.
But like, it's always Drive, and I'm like, do people like? I guess more people have seen Drive than I think.
Thank God.
I know, dude. It's so good. We're gonna have to have just like a random night where it'll be a random episode night where we just gush about Drive.
I think there's more to talk about Drive than just gushing. I think.
Well,
there's a
yeah.
lot. I mean,
There's
other
so
people
much.
have talked
Let's not
about
get
it,
into
but
it because
we're talking about Whiplash.
We're talking about Whiplash.
Okay.
But anyway, the memes with Drive are hilarious.
They're hilarious, but also ill-placed sometimes. I think that movie's more profound than people give it credit for.
Yeah.
I think, Whiplash. Do you want to talk about, like, let's talk about film technique first.
How so?
You know, writing structure of conversations, the editing, like I said before, the editing fucking really tells this story, I would say. I don't know, what about the film structure, the film technique stands out to you in this movie?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've mentioned the editing. Honestly, the focus on, like, what we mentioned earlier, just it's the straight focus of two characters, but it's still only under, so like this is like a 2-character film and plot, but it's only through this perspective of the one character. Usually, like, if you're going to go that, like, specific with, like, a character story, typically you'll have the viewpoint of, like, both characters to like, so that you can better understand the,
I mean, like a rom-com.
like a rom-com.
Because, like, every film, like, when they teach screenwriting, every film boils down to one character relationship. Like, what is like Boogie Nights? It's Marky Mark and Burt Reynolds.
Yeah,
like that's the main character relationship.
Yeah.
Even though there's like 15 other character relationships. But what you're saying is when one film just centers essentially on 2 characters that heavily, it usually shows both sides.
Correct.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
okay.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. And it doesn't do that though. Like, it's that shows the confidence in the writers and the director. Like, that's a lot of confidence to just be able to tell, like, this specific of a story while understanding the other character from only the student's point of view. Like, I think because that's like very difficult. Or like Your Name.
Yeah, Your Name is. I mean, it is mostly Taki's story, but it's pretty balanced. It's pretty fucking balanced.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say Taki's 55% and Mitsuha's 45%.
Yeah.
So it's like almost perfectly balanced.
But like this one is like 100%.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. Like, in my eyes, I think that's pretty that's pretty difficult to do. Honestly. So, I mean, Drive does it.
Yeah.
So,
I think,
anyway, but yeah, mostly, it's mainly rom-coms. I will say. So.
What do you think about the, how do I say this? I got some points I want to talk about with, like, the writing that are positive, but I don't know how to frame it. What do you think about the writing? What do you think about the way that the dialogue is written and, like, the story structure? Do you like it? What do you think about, like... I kind of want to get this out of the way, and then we can talk about philosophy.
Yeah, so I really like it because, I mean, everything is very, like, exaggerated drama-wise. But, and, like, my example for that is going to be where it's, like, the conversation at the dinner table when he's having dinner with his family and friends.
That's the exact same thing I was thinking about.
Because, like, it's very, like, wow, like, we just so like obviously for plot's sake, but like right off the bat, like he doesn't even like care. Like he just is so like angry that he's just gonna have an outburst. But the outburst is like out of nowhere. It seems like for in terms of like the parents and everybody, and it's just like, oh wow, like we went from like 0 to 100 like just like that, like really quickly, which doesn't entirely seem natural, but we don't care as an audience because like the character and like his reasoning for it is done so well that like even though it's an outlandish scenario, it makes perfect sense because of what the character wants, which is great writing. So, if I don't know if you see what I'm talking about, but
I do see what you're talking about. How do you think what do you think about like the way? So what I personally love about writing dialogue in a script, and I have a feeling that this is what a lot of writers, not all, but writers that write this kind of dialogue enjoy. The way you can reveal a character's thoughts, emotions, and traits through conversation. Perhaps that's why I like podcasts. What do you think about that at the dinner table, at least, or even through the whole film? The way Miles Teller talks to his like cousins and his aunt and uncle. I think they're all cousins. I will say I was kind of annoyed.
Well,
that's one critique of the film. I did not know who those people were. They skimmed. They introduced those characters.
They were definitely
characters too quickly.
I mean, like they were definitely like relatives. It was definitely relatives, and then it was his mom and dad.
Well, he doesn't have a mom.
He doesn't?
His mom walked out. That's like the first one of the first interactions.
Yeah.
Simmons. So, okay. One of the things that I really like about that scene is the way they use the dialogue of the way he talks to people to reveal his intensity. And it also reveals his... Okay, this is obvious, but what's great about that scene is how Miles Teller is trying to fucking explain to people who don't understand, like, jazz is a niche thing.
Yeah.
Film is not nearly as niche is art, and all art kind of, like, doesn't get appreciated in the way it should by the mainstream, and that's a very pretentious thing to say, but it's true. Jazz more so, probably, than other art forms. And the point he's trying to make in that scene is that you should appreciate the greatness that I'm achieving in this art form, in this discipline, the same way, if not more so, than you appreciate what your, like, fuckboy sons are doing.
Yeah.
With, like, being football at, like, a D3 school.
Yeah.
You know? And
well,
he says that.
The biggest
to a
thing,
certain degree.
the biggest reasoning that he, like, talks about is just, like, well, because it's when it's, like, wow, like, you don't want, like, what you don't want friends to be at your funeral, and he just, and then he's, or like something like that, and he's just, and what he says is like, I would much rather be remembered in history for all time rather than just by a couple friends for their lifetime, or like, you know, it's like something of that. It's like the exchange is like something of that nature of where it's like I would much rather be like my name be remembered for all time than have like a couple friends say goodbye to me at a funeral. Like it's like something of that nature, and it's just like that's the line that like really hit me. I was like, damn. I was like that hits home. That's where I was like, yeah, this is a relatable movie. Like, damn. I was like, whoo.
That line didn't hit me so much because I've kind of had that same conversation with people I've had that same conversation with people in real life a lot of times.
Oh, okay.
More than probably around 5 times. But so that line didn't really hit me because that line kind of is not my whole philosophy. That line is very important to my life.
Well, no. The line is very important, and that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
How it's like it's a very important line because like it's like because like it's relatable because the other people around you don't understand.
Yeah.
Like they don't understand, and they don't give any respect to you. They just want you to have like a normal life.
The line that stands out to me is when he like shits on his cousin for being like a whatever position in football he is at a D3 school. And they're like so hyped like about like this fucking D3 school, and it's like dude, I'm at the #1 college for this thing that I'm doing. You're at, it's like Kanye said, there's 1,000 yous and only one of me, you know.
Yeah.
And the thing you're doing is like, sure, it's impressive and like you can impress people with it to a certain degree, but the thing I'm doing is niche, but like for what it is a lot more impressive than what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, something else I want to ask you about, because so we talked about this in the Fargo episode, where something that interests me very much is when it comes to writing is the way that people talk differently in films than they do in real life. Now, we talked about this in the Fargo episode. Go watch that if you want to like kind of get a background on what we're talking about. I'll try to surmise it. In the post 9/11 War on Terror era, there's a desire in filmmakers there's a trend in filmmakers and in audiences for like genuine realism. Like, this is realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is how it really fucking is.
Yeah.
Whereas in the 90s, there was a cartoonish nature to like mainstream stuff. And in the 2000s, there's more of there's a more like realness to it.
Yes.
But then there's certain writers and certain filmmakers where they kind of push the other direction from cartoonish nature to like hyper serious. You tracking what I'm saying?
Yes.
How do you think this falls in that? Like
serious, like very serious,
like hyper, like unrealistically serious, like slightly past how people actually talk. Serious. What do you like? Or like, is it believable serious? Like,
I think it's like raw.
Okay.
Like, if that makes any sense. Like,
no, it does make sense. Yeah.
Like, I guess I would say like the same. It's like very similar to like at least how I view like Uncut Gems.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just raw. Like, so it's like it's not it's not hyper realistic to the points where you don't believe it. It's just like, that's just real.
Yeah.
Like, I could see this being a true story. Like, this actually just like happened.
Yes.
Like, is what I mean. Like,
I would say,
because it's something you would never hear of.
Maybe I phrased that in a weird way, but no, I agree with you. The conversation at the dinner table, I think, is. I think there are certain films in the 2000s era that take being serious. There's a genuine like realism in writing, and then there are certain films in the 2000s that take that and they like do it perfectly, and then there's a handful of films that take it, instead of being it slightly cartoonish like a Coen Brothers or a Tarantino, they make it slightly more serious than reality.
Yes.
And I tend to prefer those films over than the cartoonish nature of the 90s.
Yeah.
And I guess this is a good time to bring it up. I think this is a good time to like throw some like, I don't know, shout out, throw some like some cheers to Aaron Sorkin, because this is the Sorkin influence shows in this film.
What did he do?
I mean, so Aaron Sorkin is like one of the probably the best writers of the 21st century. He adapted The Social Network, The West Wing. There was one I was going to mention that you and I both know. I mean, Molly's Game. He adapted that. He
did fucking. There was one more that I was going to bring up. I mean, he did A Few Good Men, which has a certain special place in my heart. I think I need to rewatch that as an adult and as a Marine. But Aaron Sorkin also wrote. Aaron Sorkin wrote a lot of stuff. He wrote Steve Jobs. He wrote Moneyball.
Yeah.
Which is like, I fucking love Moneyball. That's such a good movie.
Moneyball is insane.
But you know the way. But all those films, there's a certain way of talking, where it's like quick, fast, intelligent dialogue between two northeastern Americans. You know what I'm saying? The conversation Mark Zuckerberg has with his girlfriend in the bar at the beginning of The Social Network is very much akin to the conversation that this guy has with his girl, that Miles Teller has with his girlfriend, and the conversation at the dinner table.
Yeah.
In fact, after we watched this with Nate, I went and I was like, yo, did Aaron Sorkin write this? Because it sounds like an Aaron Sorkin film. And people shit on Aaron Sorkin for his writing style sometimes. They're like, I'm not even going to parrot the criticisms they give him because they're invalid. They're
I think they're, whatever they are, I can't see them being wrong with just what with the stuff you've brought up. They're like amazing.
The only criticism I could say is Aaron Sorkin maybe is like hyper real.
Yeah. And
hyper intellectual, but like it's not bad. It's like it's believable, and some people do talk that way. I love. I mean,
like,
he's such a good.
Like in terms of like the types of conversations that you're talking about, and the specific ones you've brought up, like the one with Social Network, is like, I mean, like I've had those conversations.
Yeah.
Like,
as a
like they've all have happened. Like, no joke. Like, they've all have happened.
You and I have.
Yeah. It's like, so I can't, like, I mean, I'm sure, like, not everyone has those conversations, but they happen. If people think that they don't happen, it's like, well, this story doesn't really happen either, but it does. The point that I was getting at, which is the same point that you were getting at, is that, like, this is, like, it's something that doesn't seem like it's it doesn't seem like this story would actually happen, but you know it has happened. Like it's definitely like a story that has actually like happened to somebody.
To me, this story is like when you
so many people think this way. So
when you buy a bottle of cranberry juice and it says cranberry juice cocktail from concentrate, this story is the concentrate that a lot of things are made out of.
Yes.
A lot of people, this story of hyper obsession and the master apprentice relationship is the story that a lot of hyper obsession on art. Let's be specific.
Yeah.
Is the concentrate that a lot of things come out of.
Yes.
And I wouldn't be surprised.
You know what people would like this movie? A lot of the big esports people. I wouldn't be surprised if this would be like their favorite movie of all time, to be completely honest with you. Because this is like, that is basically their story, like, as well. That's just like a weird analysis, but I bet, like, if you were to show this movie to anybody that has like become a fucking millionaire from being a esports competitor, like playing like Counter-Strike and like all those games, League of Legends, like, pretty sure this would probably be their like favorite movie of all time. if they have ever seen it. Because it would literally be their story.
Something like,
if you know what I'm getting at.
Well,
like,
I mean, since you brought up esports, something the Wisecrack podcast they were talking about was that the critics at the time,
or YouTubers would be another big example, actually.
Well, I think it's a good example. I think the story is a good example of just like telling a story about artistic drive.
Yeah, and vision, but also obsession. Yeah. But also obsession.
So what I was saying is that people have called it a sports film about jazz, about drumming. Like the format of the film is very similar to a sports film.
So yeah, I can see. Yeah,
But
I can see that. But I think people
which I think is
don't.
good.
I think it's a
Because
good
the
thing
sports
because
format works, and I probably wouldn't want to watch a movie about jazz just for the sake of jazz.
yeah. Can I gotta take a major piss. I gotta
Damn,
make
bro.
piss.
So do I.
I gotta make piss.
Do we want to pause this recording?
We can definitely pause the recording. I don't know how that'll work for uploading. But
Fuck it. Fuck it. It's a Tuesday.
fuck it, it's Tuesday. All right, I'll keep it live, but I'll mute the mics and put up the logo for now.
I don't think anyone's actually.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, let's just. All right, and then we'll just hit go live again.
Did you stop?